Hello, welcome, good afternoon. Welcome to the Law Entrance YouTube channel. Today is 14th of August and we are back with another live Hindu and Indian Express analysis. I'm your host Govind Singh, your faculty for GK, Logical Reasoning and English. How many of you are here with me today? Quickly give me a response in the chat box and then we shall start. Satviki is here, Divyansh is here. All right. We have Mukti, Mishika, Aman, Tanvi. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. कैसे हो आप लोग? How are you all doing? How's your prep going? How's your GK preparation going? What's going on? We'll wait for a minute or so and then we shall start. Let more people join in. Good afternoon, Devika. Good afternoon, K-pop. Hi, Riddhi. Let's just start in 30 more seconds. Let more people join us. Till then, आप लोग मुझे बताओ, are you guys prepared with today's Hindu analysis? How many of you read today's newspaper? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. If you read today's Hindu or Indian Express newspaper, yes or no in the chat box. Yes, Tanvi says yes. Read the Hindu today, okay. What about others? What about other people? Did you guys read today's newspaper? Riddhi says yes, okay. Mukti says not yet. K-pop says half. Okay. All right. So it's 3:02 and let's start today's session. Good afternoon, Arman. So today is 14th of August. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow is 15th of August, which is Independence Day. But we'll still have our class. So make sure you don't miss out. The class would go as usual, both the classes. Tomorrow we have Hindu analysis at 3 p.m., then Salik Sir's class at 6 p.m., and then logical reasoning at 8 p.m. Three classes. Make sure you don't miss out. Okay, ciao. Let's look at the topics for discussion for today's analysis. Firstly, we have South Asian tumult. This is an editorial article in the Hindu newspaper. This is also an editorial article in the Hindu newspaper. Can anyone tell me the full form of ANRF in the chat box? We have discussed this a couple of times before. What is ANRF? Then we have a small news regarding a guided bomb which we have tested. We'll talk about that. And lastly, we have an interesting article on CM versus LG. We are talking about which particular state or union territory. When I say CM versus LG, we are talking about Delhi. Okay. So we'll understand why things are complicated, why there's always a tussle between the Delhi CM and the Delhi Lieutenant Governor. And lastly, we'll look at some new words for the day. Okay. So that's the agenda for the day. If you guys are ready to start with me, quickly give me a ready in the chat box and then we shall begin today's session. Ready in the chat box from everyone. Yes, it's Anusandhan National Research Foundation. Yes, today 6 p.m. class is also on. Today the 6 p.m. class is on the Hindenburg SEBI case, which you guys were requesting for quite a while. So make sure you don't miss out on it. Ready? Is everyone ready? Shall we start? Okay, let's begin the show. Not the show, the session. Okay, the shock effects of South Asian tumult. Tumult is basically disbalance, okay? Instability, you could say. Now, what is this article saying? This article is talking about the disbalances, the problems, the chaos going around in the neighborhood. In which neighborhood? In your neighborhood, my neighborhood? No, in India's neighborhood and India's neighboring countries. Can you tell me which countries have faced or are facing a chaotic situation when it comes to political stability or economic stability? Name some countries, neighboring countries, which are facing issues or have been facing issues or have faced issues in the recent times. Ukraine dropped a 1,000 pound snake eye fin retarded bomb. Okay. Yes, Bangladesh on the forefront, very recent. Sheikh Hasina flooding the country, interim government formed. Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan, Nepal, Pakistan. Correct. Basically, every neighboring country as of now is facing some or the other issues with respect to their political stability, with respect to their geopolitical relationships, with respect to their economic stabilities. And it is a matter of concern for us, India, because we do not want these instabilities to hamper our geopolitical relationships, to hamper our internal stability, to hamper our political stability. And there are multiple associated, you could say, implications of things going bad in the neighborhood as well, right? So we'll talk a little bit about all of these countries. Let's quickly take a look at the article first. Let me share the newspaper with you all. Just give me a second. Okay, here we are at the newspaper. So let's read, let's understand what is Swasni ma'am trying to say. She's not our Swasni ma'am, but she's still Swasni ma'am. From the start of this decade, India has received one shock after another in its neighborhood. If in 2021 it was the coup in Myanmar and the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan, in 2022 there was an ouster of PM Imran Khan from office in Pakistan. Ouster is simply removal, and riots that pushed Gotabaya Rajapaksa out of country in Sri Lanka. Since then, there have been some other events. The dramatic electoral change in Maldives that pushed the more India-friendly Soli government out, while also who's leading the new government in Maldives? Now that the India-friendly Soli government is out, can you tell me whose government is there in Maldives? Who's the leader? The name starts with M. Okay, let's continue reading. While a similar effect in Nepal brought by coalitions collapsing has brought the less India friendly Oli government, we have discussed this before. And who was the previous prime minister who was relatively more India friendly? Tell me in the chat box. With Bangladesh, the shock of PM Sheikh Hasina's dramatic departure and her arrival in India is all the more palpable because of how heavily New Delhi invested in the Hasina government. It has now been left scrambling to reach out to her successors. If the last few years are a trend, then what are the lessons for India that can help insulate it, or that means protect it, from the spillover effects of radical shifts in South Asia and escape similar consequences for itself? So that is the premise of the whole article. That what can we learn from all of these incidents which have been happening in our neighborhood? Yes, Mohammad Muizu is the name I was looking for. सबसे पहले मुझे आंसर दिया है दिव्यांश ने, although the spelling is a little off, but I'll accept that. Yes, correct answer is Muizu. मोहम्मद मुइजू की गवर्नमेंट है इस समय वहाँ पे. एंड नेपाल वाले का आंसर है पुष्प कमल प्रचंड. पुष्प कमल दहल नाम है उनका. He's popularly called as Prachand. Okay, so these are few names which you all need to remember. Now let's talk about the solutions which this woman, this lady is telling us in this article. So we understood that Afghanistan has a Taliban takeover, and all our previous developments are now of no significance. We were working very closely with the previous Afghanistani government, but when Taliban took over, we cannot exactly officially operate in sync with them, although we are trying to establish diplomatic ties, not in a very upfront way, but in a hush hush way. But still, there is a long way to go in stabilizing that. Now, when you talk about Pakistan, it's completely a gone case. We don't have any proper diplomatic ties with Pakistan. And after Imran Khan was removed, the situation only got worse. It has not improved. We haven't been participating in SARC and SARC related events because of Pakistan. So this particular author talks about revival of SARC, revival of BIMSTEC. What is SARC? Can you guys tell me the full form in the chat box? What is SARC and what is BIMSTEC? Tell me in the chat box, please. What are these words or organizations? Then, when you talk about Nepal, we already discussed that now Oli is in power and Prachand is not in power. Nepal has our relationship with Nepal has dwindled over the past few years. We have had border disputes, territorial disputes. We have also had cultural disputes to a certain extent. Even though Nepal is a country which has a similar community setup, which has similar ethnicities or let's say communities in comparison to India. It's not that we have a lot of cultural difference with Nepal. It's still problematic. The issues are still prevalent. When you talk about Bhutan, although has maintained a decent relationship with India, but it is again facing the brunt of Chinese diplomacy, Chinese influence. China is trying to put their strongholds in Bhutan and influence their politics. So it's again a matter of concern for India. Bangladesh, we have already discussed at length that it's very chaotic as of now, violent as well, attacks on minorities, and there are issues of border smuggling, issues of infiltration. We have discussed that. When you talk of Sri Lanka, again, the Rajpaksa issue, how he had to leave the country, this again destabilized the country. And Maldives, we just recently talked that Soli has been removed and now Muizu's government, which is not very India friendly per se, is in power. And lastly, Myanmar, we all know that a military coup happened and the the most prominent leader of Myanmar, had to flee and run for her life. Can you tell me the name of which famous Myanmar politician or leader, female leader I'm talking of, who was under threat? Yes, SARC की full form is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Absolutely correct. And BIMSTEC is Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Absolutely correct. Yes, I'm talking about Aung San Suu Kyi. So yeah, she was the leader of Myanmar, and she had to save her life from the military coup. Now coming back to the article, what the author is talking is author is saying that we should start talks and we should reinitiate initiatives like SARC and BIMSTEC. We should initiate talks of alternatively forming a new group of the South Asian countries. If we don't have to, keep Pakistan as an ally, we at least need to form a group with other countries where we can exert some geopolitics on them, diplomacy on them, and we need to re-establish our relationships with them and not let it become a US China playground. So this is the keyword she uses, that we cannot let South Asia become a US China playground, because accept it or not, a lot of these instabilities, a lot of these political disturbances are influenced by countries like US, China, and Russia. They are exerting their diplomacy, their force, and their economic strength and their political strength to cause instability in the region. Now, tell me, how would US benefit from instability in South Asia? What is US going to get out of it? Any guesses? What do you guys think? What is in it for US? What is in it for China? Edge against China. Okay. An ally to compete China, yes. USA's biggest competitor, China. Correct. So USA is looking at countering China, and it is on one hand trying to form a good relationship with India, who's the biggest power in South Asia after China, and also creating instability with respect to India forming a good trade relationship with Russia. So if the neighbors in India are hostile, the trade would definitely be hampered, and it would have some spillover effect on India and Russia's relationship as well. So that is also at question. That is also a lens you could look at from. Again, China, what is China's take? China obviously wants to exert its control in South Asia, wants to become a leader, wants to become the global superpower countering US. And Russia, of course, is trying to balance things out between these two, US and China. So all of these three big superpowers are trying to, you know, uh, run political instabilities through these countries and control them like puppets. But what India has to do is to reestablish our ties with these countries, form a group, and do something to not let it become a US China playground. So, this is all this article is talking about. Let's take a look at what she is exactly saying. India stayed on one side of the fence. Now, what this particular segment is talking about is whenever we talk of our diplomatic ties, we always stay on one side of the fence, as in we choose one side or one political faction or one political party or one political group to support, which is in power. And when they lose power, we are left with no other options but to re-engage with the sorry re-engage with the new party in power or the new person in power. So they are giving examples of how we established a close tie with Dhaka, but we totally ignored the BNP, which is the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, pardon me. And now that BNP is taking control, BNP is coming to power, and Awami League is losing out. We are at a uncomfortable position. She's giving examples of other countries like Soli government and Muizu government as well, and similarly Taliban as well. So we need to see India's decision to strengthen ties with Taliban despite its leaders' involvement in deadly attacks on Indian missions in Afghanistan, or the warm welcome of two leaders of Sri Lanka's JVP, a party that has often espoused an anti-Indian stance, and having to deal with Communist Party of Nepal led by Oli despite his constitutional move on maps that India had raised strong objections to, point to one thing. It indicates that eventually pragmatism dictates engagement with all stakeholders. यानी कि आपको समझदारी से काम लेना पड़ेगा. Pragmatism is doing things wisely. It dictates engagement with all stakeholders, right? You cannot be fixated on supporting a particular faction or a party. In the Maldives, India has full support to then President Ibrahim Mohammed Ibu Soli. And the casting of Mohammed Mizu as anti-India leader came as a cropper when electoral tides turned, which I was telling you. Even though India had to swallow a bitter pill and withdraw its troops from the islands, India's external affairs minister sought close engagement with the Muizu government during his visit next week. Such hard lessons can be avoided if New Delhi abjures its muscular outlook, यानी कि sheds or leaves its muscular outlook and broad bases its neighborhood engagement. यानी कि we broaden the base, we keep everyone in touch, keep everyone in harmony. And rather than the stability of a one party rule, New Delhi must favor a plurality of political views within and outside its border. What do you guys think? Is this a good approach or a bad approach? Broad basing and favoring a plurality of political views, or using a muscular outlook to support the party in power? Is this a good move or a bad move, like broad basing it? Is this a good suggestion or a bad suggestion? In your opinion, there's no wrong or right answer here. Next, she's talking about loss of reputation, communal lens. This again is the debate of Afghanistan and refugees fleeing out of, and diplomats fleeing out of Afghanistan, and India not giving them access to enter the country. Then you have Sheikh Hasina on how we are safe harboring Sheikh Hasina. This might disgruntle or disappoint the current government in power, and how we cannot even turn our back on Sheikh Hasina because she has been a long term ally for us. And when she returns to power, if we, you know, damage our relationships with her as of now and she returns to power, then again it's a problematic situation. The third lesson she says that the government must learn sooner than later is that it's a mistake to reduce ties in the neighborhood to communal binaries. South Asia is a region of religious majorities with Hindu, Muslims, and Buddhists forming overwhelming parts of the population in different countries. The assumption that good ties are somehow linked to religion in any way is faulty. Hindu majority Nepal has been one of India's most difficult relationships, which I was talking to you about initially. While Buddhist majority Bhutan and Muslim majority Maldives have often been the best allies, the government's move on CAA to fast track citizenship to only non Muslims from Muslim majority countries has backfired badly across the neighborhood. And then you have erosion of pan Asian, pan South Asian mechanisms like SARC and BIMSTEC, and she's talking about revival of the same. Not just New Delhi, but all South Asian capitals must focus on certain common lessons from the last few years of turmoil and election results. Joblessness and unequal growth are fueling anger on the streets and must be addressed. Right? So, this is all the article is about. Okay, let's see what your opinions are. Good move because changes in power don't affect us. Yes, good. Feel that this reflects indecisiveness. Maintaining pluralism would be good, but not sure about flexing military muscle. We're not talking about military muscles. It's more about diplomatic muscle. Military, so obviously we cannot flex. That would make it worse. We should appear weak but actually be strong. We cannot reveal our true self and our problems. Basically, follow Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's not that easy when you have neighbors like these. When you are in a geopolitical turmoil with two superpowers at loggerheads and five, six countries which are unstable, you cannot appear weak. If you appear weak, things would start getting problematic for your country as well. Internal threats would start emerging. If the perception is that the government is weak or the center is weak, then it is also a problematic situation. You have to appear strong and be strong, is what my personal opinion is. But yeah. Okay, that's all about this particular topic. Let's move to the next topic, guys. We have already discussed this topic a couple of times. There's an editorial article on it. We'll quickly have a go through of what is ANRF, Anusandhan National Research Foundation, established by the ANRF 2003 Act. We have a, pardon me, 2023 Act. And this act replaced which legislation? Can you all tell me this act repealed which law? In the chat box. ANRF repealed which board, not law, board, which body? There was a body for scientific and engineering related research. Anyone? No idea. It was called the SERB. Have you heard the name? SERB, Science and Engineering Research Board. So initially, before the establishment of ANRF or NRF, we had a body called Science and Engineering Research Board, or SERB, which was also a statutory body established in 2008. And now, when NRF came, NRF subsumed the SERB. Basically, SERB ceased to exist and became a part of NRF. And NRF is now the apex body, which is related to your strategic direction towards research, towards technological advancement, towards innovation, towards entrepreneurship, to improve India's infrastructure with respect to research and development, and promoting new innovation for scientific pursuits, right? Now, coming back to the topic at hand, what is this topic talking about? This is again the same old issue of involving private entities into funding the research and giving you data regarding how India does not spend as much as it should on research. So the numbers state that India is spending approximately, wait, let me share the presentation with you first. Okay. So India, according to this article, spends roughly 0.6% of its GDP on R&D, right? Which is very low, which is very less as compared to other countries. They give example of South Korea, of how they have one third of our GDP, yet they spend 3% of their GDP on research and development. You have examples of China, you have examples of Israel, you have examples of Japan. All of these countries spend a lot of money on their research and development. And as a result, they have developed technologies, they have developed innovations, they have gone leaps and bounds ahead of us when it comes to technology and innovation. And India, as you all know, is heavily reliant on countries like China, Korea, Taiwan for a lot of things. Can you tell me? Can you name a few things which we are yet to innovate or make in house or manufacture in India on a scale which is big and efficient? Tell me some things where we are highly reliant on China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, or even US or European countries for the matter. क्या क्या चीज़ें हमें खुद से बनाने की ज़रूरत है? Yes, microchips, correct. Semiconductors, absolutely. What else? सेमीकंडक्टर्स है, डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट्स हैं, आपके जेट्स हैं, आपके मिसाइल्स हैं, आपके टेक्नोलॉजी रिलेटेड, लेट्स से योर बायोटेक्नोलॉजी रिलेटेड इन्वेंशंस हैं, सेमीकंडक्टर है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं. इवन थिंग्स which are very petty in nature. For example, toys. We import a lot of toys from China. 90% of toys are imported from China, which are in India. And that is something which we can manufacture. But again, we don't have innovation to make things at scale, to make things as cheap as China. And ये सब innovation के लिए you need to put in money in the research, right? You need to put huge capital into research and development. And money आएगा कहाँ से? Where would that money come from? Either it comes from the government or it comes from the private sector. Now, government already is burdened and is in fiscal deficit and has a lot of things to cater to. You have your central government schemes, you have your disposal, sending money to the state governments, you have your fixed kharche, which is your salaries to government employees, you have your import export, all of that is there. So government can do only a certain much when it comes to money for research. So private sector has to be incentivized to put in money for research, because India, although being top 10 in terms of absolute GDP, we are still far, far behind when it comes to research output or innovation, right? So this ANRF, which we are talking about, this ANRF which has been formed, will receive 50,000 crores over next 5 years, and 72% of it is projected to be from the private sector. Let me write it down for you. 50,000 crores in next 5 years, and we are projecting that 72% of it would come from the private sector, which is private companies, private organizations. And the article says that even in US, where research and development is significantly focused for by the government funding, it is still given a lot of support by the IT sector, by the pharmaceutical sector. Companies put in a lot of money into research and development. Then the article tells you a little bit about ANRF, how it was formed 2023, and how it replaced the SERB, which we discussed, and how it is the apex body with respect to your research and all. And its goals are to increase private sector's contribution to research in India, and ensuring that a large portion of government funds also goes to research and development, to state universities, to colleges. Right, let's quickly glance over the article as well to see if we are not missing anything. Hints of the corporatization of science research in India. During the inaugural address of 107th Science Congress in Bangalore in January 2020, PM Modi reflected on government's take on how science should be conducted in India. It was conveyed to young researchers in his usual aphoristic manner of speaking: innovate, patent, produce, prosper. By expressing it in a maxim, the PM was hinting at the birthing of a new policy on knowledge production under his leadership. So, this is basically introduction to how ANRF was conceptualized. Then you have ANRF and research. They're telling the basics of ANRF, how prototype development is a significant part of the innovation cycle to assess the marketability of the product. Yet another hint of the government's overriding interest in funding the research that will cater to the market. In establishing NRF and the way its funding proportion is designed, there are clear signals of government's plan. Plan is to incentivize the private sector. So this is again the example of US. This is 50,000 crores over 5 years, 72%. Signals despite the stated objective, which is the dictates of the capitalist market, have to be followed. Curiosity driven research in natural sciences. When you have science is driven by this application of the result may not be apparent. General accepted working definition of basic scientific research is pursuit of knowledge to understand the natural process, irrespective of potential applications. Country comparison, this I already gave you. We invest 0.6% to 0.7%. Korea, only one third in size, spends about 2 to 3%. Private sector is encouraged to fund. If that does not happen, country will eventually witness the decline of curiosity-driven science in our universities, which could also undermine public trust in science when it gets dominantly mediated by private interest. Equally important is to nurture an ambience of free inquiry, etc., etc. State intervention has become more political in a partisan way, openly ideological within ecosystem. Boils down to a grand vision does not evolve in a repressive society. Okay, so that is the article. Okay, more or less the crux of the article is incentivize private sector to fund research. That is the one line crux of the article, gist of the article. Okay, let's move to the next article. So this is about a guided bomb. We have developed a guided bomb. The name of the bomb is Gaurav, and this was fired from a Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jet, and this has a 1000 kg class bomb capacity. Where was this test conducted? Odisha. Okay, it was conducted off the coast of Odisha, and this was a successful test. Let's look at what the article is saying. Oh, I think I missed sharing my screen when I was explaining the bomb. Just a second. Yeah, I hope it's visible. So the bomb is called Gaurav and developed by DRDO, launched by Sukhoi 30 MKI aircraft, and 1000 kg bomb capacity, launched off the coast of Odisha. So these are important things which you need to remember. Let me quickly take you to the article as well. It's a small article, just a factual article. Yeah. So here we are. Gaurav is an air-launched 1000 kg class glide bomb capable of hitting targets at long distance. After being launched, the glide bomb steered towards the target using highly accurate hybrid navigation scheme. The LRGB, which is the name of the bomb, the long distance guided bomb, long range guided bomb, has been designed and developed indigenously by Research Center Imarat, Hyderabad. During the flight test, the glide bomb hit the target erected at Long Wheelers Island with pinpoint accuracy. So, few things to remember is Long Wheelers Island in Odisha. Then you have developed by Imarat, Research Center Imarat, Hyderabad. You have 1000 kg class and the name Gaurav and launched from Sukhoi 30 MKI. Okay, so just a factual bit which you had to cover. Now let's move to the final article of the day, which is an overview of governance in Delhi. So this is an interesting article. I picked this up. Why is there always a clash between the lieutenant governor and the CM of Delhi? Can anyone of you tell me? Why do we constantly hear that LG and CM are at loggerheads? One is saying something, other is countering it or not letting it happen. What is the reason for this dispute. Screen is not shared. I think it is. Any idea? Who takes control? Yes, correct. Okay, let's look at it. So the issue in Delhi is that it has central government control because it's a union territory, and it also has a state legislative assembly, which is a council of ministers headed by the chief minister. Now, when you have a union territory, you also have a lieutenant governor who administers the union territory. So you have two people who have the control of the territory. One is LG and one is the CM. And these two always clash with each other because there are issues with respect to who would have the final call on issues, right? So when usually there is a state government headed by a CM, the subjects in the state list are a prerogative of the state government, and the CM has the call on it. The CM has the power to decide on it. But now Delhi has a complicated situation because it also has a lieutenant governor who can take a call on decisions in the union territory. Can you tell me any other examples of such situations where the state or the union territory has a state legislative assembly as well? Which other union territories also have a state legislative assembly in India? Are you guys aware? Yes, Pondicherry and Puducherry, or Puducherry. The new name is Puducherry is there. इसके अलावा yes, Jammu and Kashmir also. So these are the three places, and your Puducherry, right? These three places have a state legislative assembly and also have the status of being a union territory. So always the issue between an LG, which is the head of a union territory appointed by the president, and you have the elected member, which is the CM, representing the people of that particular state. So they always have a control, always have a dispute over jurisdiction over things, over control over things, and how that would be resolved. Now, looking at the background context of Delhi, Delhi was not always a union territory. Delhi was initially a state. When state reorganization happened in the year 1956, if I'm not wrong, yes, 1956, the state reorganization happened, and then Delhi was allotted the status of a union territory because it was firstly centrally located and we had a capital in Delhi, and secondly, all your consulates, all your embassies, all your high commissions, all your important central offices, all your agencies are located in Delhi. So it was given a union territory status so that center can have control over it. Right. So it had a state legislative assembly, and it was also announced to be a union territory. And the Municipal Corporation of Delhi was established in 1958 after that. Now, when all of this happened, and there was a committee regarding this, it was called the Balakrishnan Committee. The Balakrishnan Committee said that there would be a council of ministers headed by a CM in Delhi as well as a lieutenant governor, right? But there were three subjects, two or three subjects, which were kept out of the control of the state government despite being in the state list. Can you tell me, give me examples of things which come under the central government's control in Delhi, and the state always, is troubled by that by central government controlling this thing? There are three things, three subjects to be precise, which are excluded from the domain or purview of the Delhi government, where the Delhi government does not have authorities on those subjects. Yes, police is one, absolutely correct. Delhi police. उसके अलावा Defense and telecom are the anyway union subjects, Arman. I'm talking about things which are usually state subjects, but in Delhi it's an exception. No, it's not defense. We're talking of threes which are public order, land, and police. So these are the three subjects which are under the control of the lieutenant governor or the central government, you could say, as opposed to being under the state control, which happens in all the other states. So this is the primary bone of contention. And again, disputes arise because of taking calls on these. अभी recently अगर आपने newspaper पढ़ा हो तो who was appointed to hoist the flag in the Delhi's Independence Day celebration? Usually it's the CM, but now that the CM Kejriwal is in jail, he had written a letter from the jail to allow a person X to be the chief guest and unfurl the flag on the 15th of August celebration. Can you tell me the name of the person X? But instead of X, the Delhi Home Minister was chosen by the Lieutenant Governor to, you know, unfurl the flag on the ceremony. Yes, आतिशी का नेम दिया था सीएम said that like Kejriwal said that Atishi should be made the person who unfurls the flag, but Kailash Gehlot, who is the Delhi Home Minister, is now chosen by the LG to unfurl the flag. So ये इस टाइप के clashes इनके चलते रहते हैं एक दूसरे के ego clashes and power clashes, and this is just because of this conundrum that some things which should be under the control of the state government are under the control of the central government, and both the governments are always disgruntled with each other and are trying to hamper the work of each other and always throwing blame games on each other when something bad happens. When water logging happens, they start throwing blames on each other. Central government की गलती है, state government की गलती है. When a criminal incident happens, they again start blaming कि भाई पुलिस तो central government के अंडर आती है तो फिर central government की गलती है. And they are like कि state government वाले CM जो है वो अच्छे से law and order नहीं maintain कर रहे. तो यही सब चलता रहता है. आर्टिकल में दिखा देता हूँ आपको एक बार. What does the article say? Just give me a second. Okay. An overview of governance in Delhi, the Union versus Delhi. Why is there constant tension and friction between the Union government and Delhi government? What did the 1989 Balakrishnan Committee recommend? How has the Municipal Corporation of Delhi been involved in the power tussle? What can be done? Okay, so this is all the history which I was telling you about. MCD being established in 1958. Delhi was a Part C state in 1950. And then, as per Balakrishnan Committee, the Constitution, through the 69th Amendment, provided for a Legislative Assembly and Council of Ministers. Then, public order, police, and land were excluded from the Delhi government. Union government has control over them. Government of NCT of Delhi Act contains a detailed provision regarding legislature, executive, and administration. Issues क्या हैं? Issues ये कह रहे हैं कि since 2015, Union government led by BJP and Delhi government led by Aam Aadmi Party have been at loggerheads on various issues. Political difference play a pivotal role. There are also important legal angles. Judgments from Supreme Court have resulted in amendments to the Government of NCT of Delhi Act that have curtailed the powers of elected government in Delhi. ठीक है, तो इसकी ज़्यादा डेप्थ में आपको जाने की जरूरत नहीं है अभी के लिए. What is the way forward? The way forward, they are saying that Supreme Court mentioned that there is a triple chain of accountability in democracy. Officials accountable to ministers, ministers collectively responsible to assembly, and assembly responsible to people of India. Constant tussle between various layers of government ruptures such a chain of accountability. ठीक है, तो ये एक सॉल्यूशन ये प्रपोज कर रहे हैं कि जैसे वॉशिंगटन डीसी में एक जो कैपिटल वाला एरिया है ना ऑफ 50 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर्स, उसको अलग से एडमिनिस्टर किया जाता है उस पे जो है स्टेट वाले लॉज वो नहीं अप्लाई होते। एंड सिमिलरली ये कह रहे हैं जो एनसीटी का रीजन है, एनसीटी तो चलो नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन एनसीआर जो है वो 1450 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर का है। वो कह रहे हैं कि जो न्यू दिल्ली का रीजन है जिसमें सारे आपके सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ऑफिस एंड फॉरेन एम्बेसीज हैं, इट्स अराउंड 50 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर का रीजन। तो इसको एक तरीके से अलग से सिर्फ कैपिटल बना दो एंड इसका कंट्रोल जो है सेंटर को दे दो। बाकी जो एनसीआर पूरा है उसका कंट्रोल यू गिव इट टू द state government or the state legislative assembly headed by the CM, right? So this is a solution which they are proposing. This would ensure that people of Delhi get responsible and responsive governance from all three layers of the government, irrespective of whichever party is in power, right? So this is the crux of this particular article, and that brings us to the end of today's analysis. Let's look at the vocab for today. The first word is proclivity. Now, proclivity means a tendency to choose or do something regularly, an inclination or predisposition towards a particular thing. Synonyms are tendency, leaning, propensity. Antonyms are aversion, disfavor, disinclination. Sentence says the child showed no proclivity towards aggression. ठीक है? Proclivity simply means leaning, tendency. Okay, next word is eulogy. Eulogy or eulogy means a speech or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly. Typically, someone who has just died. So, this usually is observed in Christian households more. कि a eulogy is read. Then synonyms are accolade, speech of praise, panegyric. Antonyms are censure, condemnation, denunciation. The minister delivered a long eulogy. ओके, तो किसी की तारीफ करना यूजुअली जब वो दुनिया से टाटा बाय बाय हो चुका है इज कॉल्ड यूलॉजी। देन यू हैव कोवेट। ओके, कोवेट मींस yearn to possess or have something belonging to others, ठीक है, लालच। Synonyms are desire, crave, want. Antonyms are abhor, abominate, despise. All his life he has just coveted success. Okay, so first word covet, second word eulogy, third word proclivity. I hope that is clear. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If not, then that's a wrap for today's Hindu analysis. Thank you so much. Is the next mentee. When we'll discuss the Kolkata case, it's just a piece of news. What do you want me to discuss in that? I mean, all of us know what happened, and CBI inquiry is probably now being conducted. We'll see if there are any legal developments, then we'll cover that. Oh, thank you so much, Arman. I'm glad you all are aware. So today's CL ka happy birthday. You all can write happy birthday CL in the chat box or in the comment section after the stream ends. 14th August is when Career Launcher was founded. Yes, happy 29 years to CL Foundation. Very happy CL day to you all. CLAT aspirant shows significant proclivity towards 90% plus in mocks. Absolutely correct. Good sentence, Deeptakshi. नेक्स्ट मेंटी हम करेंगे ऑन फ्राइडे करते हैं नेक्स्ट मेंटी। हैव यू गाइस कमेंटेड ऑन व्हाट डू यू वांट फॉर द नेक्स्ट मेंटी? कल के स्ट्रीम पे कमेंट्स किए आप लोगों ने? कमेंट्स फिर किस चीजों पे करें हम मेंटी? ऐसे कैसे चलेगा मित्रों? थैंक यू फॉर द लवली विशेस टू CL। वी वांट केक। मेरे को ही नहीं मिला अभी केक। आई ऑल्सो वांट केक। आई एम टेकिंग दिस क्लास। द सेलिब्रेशन इज हैपनिंग इन द ऑफिस, in the head office, and I am taking this class, so I also need to go and grab some cake. If I get some cake, I'll send it to you as well. Okay, chalo. Let's wrap today's class. You can tell me your suggestions about the next mentee topic in the comment section. Don't forget to comment. Okay? And like this video, share this video, and see you tomorrow again in the Hindu analysis. And before that, don't forget to attend today's 6 p.m. class. Right? Chalo. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye. Take care.